As Coach settles in, we'll start with questions with Paul here to Coach's left.
Coach, I know you talked to us earlier this week and talked about the concern of Tennessee being a physical team and a good rebounding team. How much did that play a factor in you guys getting in a hole tonight?
Yeah, I mean, it was the biggest reason why we dug ourselves a hole, along with how we started the game defensively from not being assignment correct on the game plan that we had installed, and our ball screen coverage was nothing that we haven't done in the past. It was pretty simple, trying to keep the ball and the roller in front. It's right. It's easy for me to say, but we've done that before and had some success in it, and we didn't early. We were all over the board. We just weren't in the right spots with the right coverage, with the right angles, and they took full advantage of it. And I mean, they were dunking the ball in our goal 4 or 5 times in the first 5 or 6 minutes. I don't have the numbers, but I'd imagine that's pretty close, and that was very frustrating. We just weren't in the right spot, and so, that gives the other team a lot of confidence. Not that they needed any. Makes the bench feel good, the coaches feel good. The only reason why, we were in the game, I think it was 27-25, and, obviously Josh had gotten off to a terrific start, and I will give our other guys credit on the other end for understanding that, and for the most part, they knew what was going on, and certainly we were trying to run things for him to get him looks, which isn't that unusual for us, but he just had a bounce to a step tonight, and he kept us, in the game. And I don't mean that like it was just Josh kept us in the game because of what I just talked about. The other guys were doing their part, and then we just had that stretch where, they run like a 7-0 run or something like that, and got some separation there going into halftime.
Go to Sam here, front row middle, and then we'll go back to the second row.
Yeah, you mentioned that, spectacular scoring performance from Josh, but how difficult is it from a team standpoint when there's times where it doesn't really seem like anyone else can kind of get going offensively, where maybe it's sometimes only him that can be, reliably scoring at times?
I mean, we've had stretches like that all year long, and we've had stretches like that with other teams that Josh has played on. I thought as the game unfolded, as we got deeper into it, that other guys, had some moments. Quincy made a couple plays, and Jaden Epps made a couple plays. Jabari had the 3, and then the steal and the dunk. And but we've been there before. It's not foreign to us.
We'll go to Jacob here, front row right, and then we'll go back to the second row.
You guys played well in portions in the first and the second half. Kind of, what do you think caused this team to kind of be so up and down like that?
Yeah, if I could fix that, we'd be in a better mood. It's frustrating a little bit. Certainly, nobody plays their best all the time. That's the goal. You always want more. You're always pushing and prodding and scratching and clawing to try to get your team to play at the maximum that they're capable of. But we all understand that doesn't work all the time. Unfortunately, we certainly have been inconsistent. That run that we had there in the second half to, at least have the other team call a timeout or two and start getting a little nervous about the lead dissipating the way it did. But that can't be, why, we play a little bit harder. It's got to be from the jump. It's got to be from the get-go. It's got to be all the time. And for whatever reason, I haven't been able to push the right buttons to get them to play like that all the time.
Okay, we'll go second row here to the left on the end.
Coach, on Monday you mentioned how Tennessee kind of wanted to play they wanted to play a fist fight. And to what extent do you feel like they were able to do that tonight? And how did that affect you guys?
It's what they always do. You either got to step in the ring or not, because they're going to drag you in there, and you got to decide if you're going to fight or flee. And I thought it got better for us. As the game unfolded, I thought guys got more confidence individually and certainly as a group of what it was going to take to compete with that team and how they go about doing it. They set as physical screens as you're going to see not just in our league, but anywhere. You know, they have an old school approach. They're different that way, where they do a lot of off-ball screening and pin downs and fades and staggers, and the way, you know, my generation grew up playing and coaching. You know, a lot of motion principles, not as many ball screens as most teams play, but when you play Coach Barnes in Tennessee, and certainly our team was well aware of that and educated about it, you better, you know, put your helmet on, and you better be willing to do what it takes, because if you don't, you know, and we had stretches where we didn't, and they punished us. And then we had some stretches, especially in the second half, where that wasn't the case, but we didn't have 40 minutes of it.
Go second row middle to Danny P.
Coach, we talked about the 18-0 run. They're toward the end of the last half, and just talk about maybe taking whatever momentum that can be on the road on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it'll get discussed tomorrow, but that ain't, you know, necessarily going to help us win the game. You know, it's going to have a little bearing on, you know, Saturday's outcome. And, you know, we're right now not thinking about it too much. I'm sure here shortly my mind will switch over to preparing for our next game, which happens to be on the road at Ole Miss. And certainly, you know, looking at it from a rivalry standpoint, we dug ourselves a hole with losing at home by 1, and, you know, didn't sit well with us. But we get another crack to try to even the score, if you will. And I'm sure by tomorrow morning we'll be ready to attack that.
All right, thank you. We'll see some of you Saturday.